Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the massive Galactic Council station grow larger on the main screen. The structure was huge beyond anything humans had built. It looked like a silver flower floating in space with thousands of lights twinkling across its surface. Ships from dozens of alien races moved in and out of its docking bays like busy insects. "Impressive sight, isn't it, Captain?" said Ambassador Lisa Harper as she joined him at the viewing window. She wore her best diplomatic uniform, dark blue with gold trim that represented Earth. Her face showed confidence, but Jake could see the worry in her eyes. "Yes, ma'am, it is," Jake replied. "Hard to believe humans have only been part of this for 3 years," Lisa nodded. 3 years since first contact. 3 years since humanity discovered they were not alone in the universe. 3 years of following rules made by alien races who had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. The communication officer turned in his chair. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions from Council Traffic Control. Put it on speaker, Lieutenant." A mechanical voice filled the bridge. The universal translator made it sound flat and emotionless. "Human vessel UES Defiance, you are assigned to docking bay 847 in the Outer Rim. Maintain minimum speed. Do not deviate from assigned flight path. Any violations will result in immediate detention." Jake frowned. Docking bay 847 was in the worst section of the station, far from the main council chambers. "Acknowledged, Control." Beginning docking approach. As they flew closer, Lisa studied the other ships. The Vortani vessels looked like floating crystals that caught and reflected light in beautiful patterns. The Zeph collective ships were dark and angular, built for their insect-like creators. The Lumina didn't need ships at all. They were beings of pure energy who traveled in glowing spheres. "Remember, Captain, this meeting is crucial," Lisa said quietly. "Earth's colonies need better trade agreements. Our people are struggling with the restrictions the Council placed on us." Jake knew she was right. Humans had established 37 colony worlds in the past 3 years, but the alien races controlled all the major trade routes. Human ships could only travel on approved paths. Human colonies could only trade certain goods. Human technology was considered primitive and potentially dangerous by Council standards. The Defiance settled into its assigned docking bay with a gentle thud. Through the viewports, Jake could see the bay was old and poorly maintained. Water dripped from corroded pipes. The lighting was dim and flickered occasionally. "Not exactly rolling out the red carpet for us," muttered Lieutenant Commander Ryan Torres, the ship's intelligence officer. "Watch your tone, Torres," Jake warned, but he agreed with the sentiment. A group of figures waited at the airlock. Jake recognized them as Vortani, tall, thin beings that looked like they were made of living crystal. Their leader stepped forward as Lisa emerged from the ship. "Ambassador Harper," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Crystalline Vexenara, your assigned escort. The Council will see you in 1 hour. You will follow all protocols exactly." Lisa smiled diplomatically. "Of course. Thank you for accommodating us on such short notice." Vexenara's crystal face showed no emotion. "It was not our choice. The Council requires periodic reports from all junior member species. You will present your request for expanded trade privileges to Subcommittee 7. Subcommittee 7? Lisa's smile faltered slightly. "I was told this would be presented to the full Council." "The full Council does not waste time on minor administrative matters. Subcommittee 7 handles all requests from lesser species." Jake felt his jaw clench. Lesser species? The aliens never let humans forget their place in the galactic hierarchy. As Lisa left with the Vortani escorts, Jake turned to Torres. "I want you monitoring all communications while we're here. Something feels wrong about this whole situation." "Already on it, Captain. I've been tracking alien fleet movements for the past month. There's been a lot of activity near human space." "What kind of activity?" "Ships moving in formation. Large groups. The aliens call them patrol exercises, but the patterns don't match normal patrol routes." Jake studied the intelligence report Torres handed him. Red dots marked alien fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Too many of those dots were near human colonies. Meanwhile, in the council chambers, Lisa sat at a small table facing 7 alien beings. The room was designed to intimidate. Massive curved walls rose high above her head, and the alien representatives sat on elevated platforms that forced her to look up at them. The leader was Zexthul, a member of the Zeph collective. His insect-like features were hidden behind a breathing mask, but his multifaceted eyes studied Lisa with cold intelligence. "Human ambassador," Zexathul began, his voice buzzing through the translator. "Your species has submitted a request to expand trading privileges and remove restrictions on colonial development." "Yes, honored counselor. Our colonies are thriving, and we believe we can contribute much more to galactic commerce and culture." One of the Lumina representatives pulsed brighter. "Contribute? Your species has existed in space for less than 4 years. What could you possibly offer races that have traveled the stars for millennia?" Lisa kept her voice steady. "Innovation, fresh perspectives, and a strong work ethic. Human colonies have achieved remarkable growth rates despite the current restrictions." "Exactly the problem," another alien interrupted. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with tentacles that sparked with bioelectricity. "Human population growth is unprecedented. Human technological advancement is unnaturally rapid. These factors create instability." Zexathul leaned forward on his platform. "The Council has reviewed your species' development patterns. Humans show disturbing tendencies toward aggression, territorial expansion, and resource consumption. For the safety of all galactic civilizations, new protocols must be implemented." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. New protocols. Effective immediately, all human vessels will be restricted to their home star systems. No human colony ships will be permitted beyond the Sol system boundary. Existing human colonies will be subject to enhanced monitoring and resource limitations. "You're talking about quarantine," Lisa said, struggling to keep her voice calm. "You want to trap humanity in a box." "We prefer the term protective containment," Zexthul replied. "It is for the good of all species, including your own." Lisa stood up from her chair. "The human government will never accept these restrictions. Our colonies depend on trade and communication with Earth." The alien counselors exchanged glances. Several of them made sounds that might have been laughter. "Ambassador Harper," Zexthul said slowly, "you seem to believe your species has a choice in this matter. The Council has made its decision. Human expansion ends now." Back on the Defiance, Jake received an urgent message from Earth Command. The communication was heavily encrypted and marked with the highest priority codes. "Captain," came the voice of Admiral Patricia Stone, "intelligence reports indicate massive alien fleet movements toward human space. All diplomatic missions are ordered to return immediately. Do not engage with Council forces under any circumstances." Jake looked at Torres, who was monitoring alien communications channels. The intelligence officer's face was grim. "Captain, I'm picking up coded transmissions between alien fleets. I can't break the encryption, but the timing and frequency suggest coordinated military operations. How long until the ambassador returns?" "She's been in there for 3 hours. Protocol says the meeting should have ended 2 hours ago." Jake made his decision. "Torres, prepare an emergency extraction plan. If they're holding our ambassador, we're going to get her back." In the council chambers, Lisa found herself surrounded by alien security forces. The peaceful diplomatic meeting had become something much more sinister. "You cannot leave until the protocols are fully explained," Zexthul informed her. "Your species must understand the consequences of non-compliance." "What consequences?" The insectoid alien's eyes seemed to glitter with satisfaction. "Humans who violate the new restrictions will be relocated to facilities better suited for aggressive species. Your colonies will be dissolved and their populations transferred to controlled environments." Lisa realized with growing horror that she was witnessing the end of human freedom in the galaxy. The aliens had never intended to negotiate. They had planned this from the beginning. "You're talking about concentration camps," she whispered. "We prefer the term species-appropriate habitation zones," Zexthul replied. "Do not worry, Ambassador. Your species will be well cared for as long as you remain within the boundaries we set." Lisa looked around the chamber at the alien faces watching her. For 3 years, humanity had tried to find its place among the stars through diplomacy and cooperation. Now she understood the truth. They had been sheep walking into a slaughterhouse, and the wolves had been smiling the entire time. Ryan Torres worked frantically at his console aboard the UES Defiance. His fingers flew over the keyboard as he tried to crack the alien communication codes. Hours had passed since Ambassador Harper entered the council chambers, and something was definitely wrong. "Captain Morrison," Torres called out, his voice tight with urgency. "I'm breaking through some of these alien transmissions. You need to see this." Jake hurried over to the intelligence station. On the screen, Partial translations of intercepted messages scrolled past in green text. Fleet Group 7 is in position near the human colonies designated New Terra and New Boston. Torres read aloud. Fleet Group 12 reports ready status at the human world called New Chicago. Jake felt ice in his veins. How many fleet groups are we talking about? At least 20 that I can identify. Captain, these aren't patrol exercises. They're surrounding every major human colony in the galaxy. Torres pulled up a star map showing human space. Red indicators marked alien fleet positions around each human world. The pattern was clear and terrifying. It's a coordinated attack formation, Jake whispered. They're getting ready to hit us all at once. Another message fragment appeared on screen. Torres translated it quickly. Human specimen collection will begin immediately after Phase 1 completion. Priority given to reproductive age adults and children with technical training. Specimen collection. Jake's hand moved instinctively to his sidearm. They're talking about taking prisoners. Back on Earth, Admiral Patricia Stone sat in the underground command center beneath the Colorado mountains. Around her, dozens of officers monitored communications from across human space. The news was getting worse by the hour. Admiral, called Lieutenant Colonel Susan Blake from her station. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures moving toward New Terra. Whatever's coming, it's big. Patricia studied the tactical display. New Terra was humanity's largest colony world, home to 15 million people. It was also completely defenseless against a major alien fleet. Get me General Kevin Brooks on secure channel, she ordered. Moments later, General Brooks appeared on the main screen. He was in his office at the Pentagon, but Patricia could see other high-ranking military officials in the background. Patricia, tell me you have good news, Brooks said grimly. I wish I did. The aliens have fleets positioned around every human colony. Our diplomatic mission to the Council Station has gone silent. I think we're looking at a full-scale attack. Brooks nodded slowly. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less. Kevin, our colonies don't have the firepower to stop what's coming. I know. But we're not completely helpless. Operation Dark Shield is ready to activate. Patricia raised an eyebrow. She had heard rumors about Dark Shield but never got clearance for the details. What exactly is Dark Shield? Something we started building the day after first contact, just in case this day came. On New Terra, Colonel Susan Blake watched the sunrise over the capital city of New Hope. The sky was clear and beautiful, but her orbital sensors told a different story. Massive shapes were moving just beyond the edge of the star system. Susan commanded the planet's small defense fleet, 12 patrol ships and 6 orbital weapons platforms. Against a full alien battle group, they wouldn't last 10 minutes. Her communication officer turned toward her with a pale face. Colonel, we're receiving a transmission from an alien fleet. They're demanding we surrender immediately. Put it on speaker. The mechanical voice of the universal translator filled the command center. Human defenders of the colony world designated New Terra. Your species has been declared a threat to galactic stability. Lay down your weapons and prepare for evacuation to secure facilities. Resistance will be met with total destruction. Susan looked around at her officers. These were good people, men and women who had volunteered to protect the colonists below. She could see fear in their eyes, but also determination. Response, Colonel? Asked her communications officer. Susan thought about the 15 million people living in the cities below. Farmers, teachers, children playing in schoolyards, families having breakfast together. The aliens wanted to take all of that away. Send this message, she said clearly. New Terra Defense Command to Alien Fleet. Go to hell. The first alien ships dropped out of hyperspace like falling stars. Susan counted over 50 vessels, each one larger than anything in the human fleet. Their weapons began charging with energy that showed up as bright spots on her sensors. All units, this is Colonel Blake. Fight them for every second you can. Make them pay for every inch. New Terra Command out. The battle was over in 30 minutes. Dr. Alan Curtis ran through the corridors of the medical research station orbiting Jupiter. In his lab, hidden data files held information that could change everything. For 2 years, he had been secretly studying biological samples from the alien races, supposedly for peaceful scientific exchange. What he had discovered was horrifying. Computer, activate Emergency Protocol 7. He gasped as he reached his laboratory. Emergency Protocol activated. All research data will be transmitted to Earth Command in 60 seconds. Alan's hands shook as he input his authorization codes. The aliens had been studying humans too, but not for scientific knowledge. They had been developing biological weapons specifically designed to target human DNA. The data files contained genetic markers, viral sequences, and deployment methods. The aliens had been planning humanity's destruction from the moment of first contact. "Transmission complete," announced the computer. Alan looked out the window at Jupiter's swirling clouds. Somewhere in human space, colonies were under attack. But now Earth Command would know what they were really fighting against. On the council station, Ambassador Lisa Harper sat in a small holding cell. The diplomatic immunity she thought would protect her meant nothing to the aliens. Through the transparent wall, she could see other humans in similar cells, traders, diplomats, and scientists who had been visiting the station. Sexthul appeared outside her cell, his insect-like features showing what might have been satisfaction. "Your colonies are being cleansed as we speak, Ambassador. New Terra has fallen. New Boston is under attack. Soon, all human presence beyond your home system will be eliminated." Lisa stood up and faced the alien leader. "You planned this from the beginning. The trade restrictions, the quarantine orders, it was all preparation for genocide. Genocide is such an ugly word. We prefer preventive species management. Your race showed dangerous expansion patterns. Left unchecked, humans would have challenged the established galactic order within a generation. So you decided to murder us first." Zexthul's compound eyes reflected the cell's harsh lighting. "Your species will not be murdered. The compliant will be relocated to appropriate facilities. The resistant will simply cease to exist." Lisa thought about her daughter back on Earth, probably getting ready for school right now. Would she live to see her 15th birthday? Or would the aliens come for Earth next? "How long do you think you can hold us?" Lisa asked. "Earth knows what happened here. Earth will receive a simple message. Their colonies rebelled against council authority and had to be pacified. By the time your homeworld realizes the truth, our fleets will already be in your solar system." Aboard the UES Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison made the hardest decision of his life. His orders were to avoid engagement with alien forces, but his ambassador was a prisoner, and human colonies were dying. "Torres, how long to break Ambassador Harper out of detention?" "Give me 20 minutes and a small assault team, Captain. You've got 15 minutes and whoever volunteers." "I won't order anyone into this." Every officer on the bridge stepped forward. Jake looked at his crew, good people who knew they might not survive the next hour. But they also knew that running away now meant abandoning everything humanity stood for. "All right, people, let's go get our ambassador back. And let's send a message to these aliens that humans don't go quietly into the night." As alarm klaxons began sounding throughout the council station, Jake Morrison prepared to fire the first shots in a war that would reshape the galaxy. The age of human diplomacy was over. The age of human defiance had begun. Colonel Susan Blake floated in the wreckage of her command ship, watching alien vessels descend toward New Terra like hungry vultures. Her small defense fleet was gone, destroyed in less than an hour by overwhelming alien firepower. Through her damaged helmet, she could see the orbital defense platforms burning like fallen stars as they crashed into the atmosphere. Below, on the planet's surface, the first alien landing ships touched down in the major cities. Susan's radio crackled with desperate transmissions from the ground. "This is New Hope City Defense. We're under attack by flying machines. They're herding people into groups and loading them onto ships. Request immediate assistance. New Terra Agricultural Station 7 to any military unit. Alien soldiers are rounding up civilians. They have some kind of stunning weapons. People are collapsing but not dying. I think they want prisoners." Susan tried to respond, but her communication system was too damaged. She watched helplessly as transport ships lifted off from the planet, packed with human prisoners. 15 million people lived on New Terra. The aliens were taking them all. On Earth, President Helen Wright stood in the Situation Room deep beneath the White House. Around the table sat the most powerful people in human government: generals, admirals, intelligence directors, and scientific advisors. The news from the colonies was devastating. "Ma'am," said General Kevin Brooks, "we've lost contact with 17 colony worlds in the past 6 hours. Long-range sensors show alien fleets at each location." "Casualties?" Helen asked, though she dreaded the answer. "We don't know. The aliens seem to be taking prisoners rather than simply destroying everything. But the colonies have gone dark. Admiral Patricia Stone activated a holographic display showing human space. Red zones marked where alien fleets had struck. It was systematic, coordinated, and thorough. "Madam President," Patricia said grimly, "this is not a raid or a police action. This is total war. They intend to wipe out human presence in the galaxy." Helen Wright had been president for 2 years. She had led humanity through first contact, through the establishment of colonies, through the delicate process of joining galactic civilization. Now she faced the complete destruction of everything they had built. What are our options? General Brooks exchanged glances with the other military leaders. "Madam President, there's something you need to know. Something we've been preparing for since the day we met the aliens." Helen raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "Operation Dark Shield. We never trusted them completely. While we were building colony ships and diplomatic vessels, we were also building something else." Brooks activated another holographic display. This one showed the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Hidden among the rocks were structures that definitely were not asteroids. Shipyards, ma'am. 53 concealed construction facilities that have been building warships in total secrecy for 3 years. Helen stared at the display in shock. "How many ships are we talking about?" 237 vessels of various classes. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers, plus support craft and logistics vessels. You built an entire fleet without congressional approval? Admiral Patricia Stone stepped forward. "Ma'am, Congress approved the Colonial Defense Initiative. They just didn't know how we chose to interpret defense." On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison led a small strike team through the service corridors of the Council Station. The aliens had never expected humans to fight back, so their security was designed more for show than actual defense. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Torres held up his hand, signaling the team to stop. Through a ventilation grate, they could see the detention level where Ambassador Harper was being held. 4 guards, Torres whispered. Vortani security forces. Crystal-based physiology makes them tough but slow. Jake checked his weapon. A standard human pulse rifle. "Remember, we want the ambassador alive. Everything else is secondary." The assault was quick and brutal. Human weapons were considered primitive by alien standards, but they worked perfectly well against alien bodies. The Vortani guards fell within seconds, their crystal forms shattering under the impact of human firepower. Lisa Harper looked up in amazement as Jake's team blasted open her cell door. "Captain Morrison, how did you—" "Explanations later, Ambassador. Right now we need to move." As they ran through the corridors, Lisa filled Jake in on what she had learned. "Captain, this isn't just an attack on our colonies. They've been planning to eliminate humanity from the beginning. The trade restrictions, the quarantine zones. It was all preparation for genocide." "Well," Jake said as he gunned down another alien security guard, "they're about to learn that humans don't go extinct easily." Deep in space near the Earth colony of New Boston, Admiral Richard Grant commanded the UES Vengeance, one of the few human warships that had been patrolling far from the main attack zones. His ship had been investigating reports of unusual alien activity when the attacks began. "Admiral," called his communications officer, "we're receiving distress signals from New Boston. Multiple alien vessels have entered the system." Richard looked at the tactical display. His single ship faced an alien battle group of at least 20 vessels. By all military logic, he should retreat and report to Earth Command. Instead, he thought about the 3 million colonists on New Boston. His brother lived there with his family. "All hands, this is the Admiral. We're going to fight. I won't lie to you. We're outnumbered and outgunned. But those are our people down there, and we don't abandon our own." The UES Vengeance charged into battle against impossible odds. Richard's crew fought with desperate courage, using every trick they had learned in 3 years of space operations. They managed to destroy 4 alien ships before their own vessel was crippled. As the Vengeance drifted helplessly, Richard watched alien landing craft descend toward New Boston. He had failed to save the colony, but he had sent a message. Humans would fight for their own no matter the odds. Back on Earth, Dr. Maria Gonzalez worked frantically in her laboratory beneath the Nevada desert. For 3 years, she had been studying captured alien technology. Officially for peaceful scientific purposes. Unofficially, she had been figuring out how to build better weapons. "General Brooks," she called over the secure communication link, "I need to know how long we have before they reach Earth." Brooks' voice crackled through the speakers. Best estimate is 72 hours. Maybe less. Maria looked at the prototype weapons surrounding her laboratory. Particle beam cannons based on Lumina energy technology. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through alien shields. Fighters equipped with adaptive AI that could outthink alien tactical computers. Sir, the new weapons are ready for testing, but I haven't had time for proper safety protocols. Doctor, if these weapons don't work, we won't have to worry about safety protocols. Load everything we have. In the Vortani home system, Crystal Lord Zexanara received reports from the attack fleets. The elimination of human colonies was proceeding ahead of schedule. Soon, the infestation of aggressive mammals would be cleansed from the galaxy. My lord, reported a subordinate. Fleet Group 7 reports complete success at the target designated New Terra. 15 million specimens collected for processing. Excellent. And the other colonies? New Boston has fallen. New Chicago is under attack. Human resistance has been minimal. Zexanara felt satisfaction flow through his crystalline structure. The council had been wise to act quickly. Left unchecked, the humans would have become a serious threat within decades. What of their homeworld? Our largest fleet group is en route to the Sol system. Earth will be in our control within 3 days. But deep in human space, something was stirring that the aliens had never imagined. In hidden shipyards throughout the asteroid belt, Admiral Tony Mitchell watched as the Shadow Fleet powered up their engines for the first time. 237 warships emerged from concealment like sharks rising from dark water. Each vessel was built with lessons learned from 3 years of studying alien technology. Each crew was trained in tactics the aliens had never seen. All ships, this is Admiral Mitchell, came the voice over the fleet communication system. Our colonies are burning. Our people are prisoners. The aliens think they can wipe us out because we're new to space. Mitchell looked out at the fleet forming around his flagship, the UES Retribution. These weren't just warships. They were instruments of human rage given form and purpose. They're about to learn the difference between being new to space and being new to war. All ships jump to hyperspace. Target: Alien Fleet Group 7 at New Terra. Let's go get our people back. The Shadow Fleet vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it humanity's answer to alien aggression. The Council races had opened a door they could never close. They had awakened something in humans that had been sleeping since the species learned to cooperate instead of compete. Now, they would learn what humans were really capable of when pushed beyond their breaking point. War had come to the galaxy, and humanity was no longer the victim. Admiral Tony Mitchell stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution as the Shadow Fleet dropped out of hyperspace near New Terra. What he saw made his jaw clench with rage. Alien ships surrounded the human colony world like a pack of wolves around a wounded deer. Admiral, called his tactical officer, I count 47 alien vessels of various classes. They're loading the last transport ships with human prisoners. Tony studied the enemy formation through the main viewer. The aliens had positioned their ships for maximum efficiency in rounding up civilians. They weren't expecting a fight. They're about to get one, Tony muttered. All ships, battle stations. Target the prisoner transports first. We're getting our people back. The alien fleet commander, a Zeph collective admiral named Krixtal, was reviewing the prisoner collection reports when his sensors detected incoming ships. He turned his compound eyes toward the tactical display, expecting to see another alien patrol arriving ahead of schedule. Instead, he saw 237 human warships dropping out of hyperspace in perfect attack formation. Impossible, Krixtal buzzed through his breathing apparatus. Humans don't have ships like these. Our intelligence report said they only possessed a handful of patrol craft. His tactical officer's voice was high with panic. Admiral, the human vessels are not matching any known human ship designs. They're larger, more heavily armed, and their energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. Krixtal watched in growing alarm as the human fleet deployed into attack formation with precision that matched the best alien naval academies. These weren't the clumsy colonists his species had been studying for 3 years. Open communication channels, he ordered. Perhaps we can negotiate. The first human weapons fired before he could finish the sentence. Captain Brad Thompson commanded the destroyer, UES Lightning Strike, as it dove toward an alien transport ship loaded with human prisoners. His weapons officer was a young woman named Nicole Foster, who had trained on simulators that used captured alien technology data. Captain, Nicole called out, I have a clear shot at the transport's docking bay. If I can disable their cargo doors, the prisoners won't be separated from the ship. Do it, Brad ordered. Nicole's targeting was perfect. The alien transport shuddered as its docking mechanisms failed, trapping the human prisoners inside but preventing them from being transferred to deeper space. Throughout the battle zone, similar scenes played out as human ships attacked with tactics the aliens had never encountered. Instead of the formal, structured combat the galactic races were used to, humans fought with creativity and adaptability that confused and overwhelmed their enemies. Commander Ashley Davis led a boarding party onto a disabled alien cruiser. Her team moved through the ship's corridors like ghosts, using knowledge of alien physiology that Dr. Alan Curtis had provided to Earth Command. Remember, Ashley whispered to her troops as they approached the ship's detention center. Fortani are tough, but they shatter if you hit the right frequency. Ceph Collective can't handle rapid temperature changes. Lumina beings disperse if you disrupt their energy patterns. The alien guards never knew what hit them. Human soldiers emerged from ventilation shafts, maintenance corridors, and cargo bays with weapons specifically designed to exploit alien weaknesses. Within an hour, Ashley's team had freed over 3,000 human prisoners and captured the alien ship intact. Back on Earth, President Helen Wright watched the battle reports with amazement and growing hope. The Shadow Fleet was not just fighting, it was winning. Madam President General Brooks reported, Admiral Mitchell's forces have destroyed or captured 60% of the alien fleet at New Terra. Casualty reports show minimal human losses. How is that possible? The aliens have been spacefaring for thousands of years. Dr. Maria Gonzalez stepped forward from her position at the science station. Ma'am, the aliens have been at peace for so long they've forgotten how to really fight. Their tactics are predictable, their weapons are designed for intimidation rather than efficiency, and their commanders have never faced an enemy that adapts as quickly as humans do. Helen looked at the tactical displays showing human forces engaging alien fleets throughout the galaxy. What you're telling me is that we're better at war than they are. Yes, ma'am, General Brooks said grimly. We've had thousands of years of practice killing each other. They've had thousands of years of committee meetings and diplomatic protocols. In the Zeph Collective home system, the High Command buzzed with panic as reports arrived from the battlefronts. The human attack had come without warning and with devastating effectiveness. The mammals are using unknown weapons technology, reported Intelligence Chief Vexmore. Their ships are equipped with adaptive shielding that learns from our weapons patterns. Their fighters move in ways that seem to ignore standard physics. Supreme Commander Ziktar's compound eyes focused on the battle reports. How many ships have we lost? 17 fleet groups have been attacked. Our losses are significant. Define significant. Vexmore's antennae twitched nervously. 40% of our combat vessels have been destroyed or captured in the past 6 hours. Ziktar felt something he had never experienced in 2 centuries of military service. Fear. Not of death, but of defeat by creatures the collective had dismissed as primitive mammals. Captain Samantha Taylor commanded the heavy cruiser UES Defiance as it led an attack on the alien fleet, threatening New Chicago. Her target was the enemy flagship, a massive Lumina vessel that pulsed with energy like a captured star. Captain, called her weapons officer, the enemy flagship is charging some kind of superweapon. Energy readings are off the scale. Samantha studied her tactical display. The alien weapon could probably destroy her entire squadron with one shot. By conventional tactics, she should retreat and call for reinforcements. Instead, she did something no alien commander would have considered. All power to forward shields. Plot a collision course with the enemy flagship. Her bridge crew stared at her in shock. Captain, that's suicide, her first officer protested. No, Samantha said with a cold smile. That's human. The UES Defiance accelerated directly toward the alien superweapon. At the last second, when the Lumina commander was certain the human ship was about to ram his vessel, Samantha ordered maximum reverse thrust and fired every weapon she had at point-blank range. The alien flagship, designed for long-range energy combat, had no defense against close-quarters assault. It broke apart like a soap bubble, its energy beings scattering into space. Target destroyed. Captain, reported her weapons officer with amazement. Good. Now let's go save New Chicago. On the council station, Ambassador Lisa Harper had been rescued by Captain Jake Morrison's team. But their escape was complicated by the arrival of alien reinforcements. The corridors rang with the sound of weapons fire as humans and aliens fought room by room. "Captain," Lisa called as they ran toward the docking bay. "I overheard the alien commanders talking. They have a final weapon, something they call the Planet Killer. They used it once before to destroy a world that rebelled against the Council." Jake's face went pale. "Where is it?" "Hidden somewhere in this system. They're preparing to use it on Earth if the battle goes badly." Jake spoke into his communication device. "Morrison to all human ships in this system. Priority Alpha message for Earth Command. The aliens have a planet-killing weapon. Location unknown. Threat level maximum." As they reached their ship, Jake looked back at the Council station. For 3 years, humanity had tried to find its place in galactic civilization through peaceful cooperation. The aliens had repaid that trust with attempted genocide. "Ambassador," Jake said as the UES Defiance prepared for departure, "when this is over, humanity is going to have some very serious conversations with the galactic community." Lisa nodded, thinking about the human prisoners she had seen in the alien detention centers. "Captain, I don't think talking is going to be enough anymore." Throughout human space, the pattern repeated itself. Alien fleets that had expected easy victories found themselves facing enemies who fought with desperate creativity and tactical innovation. Ships that should have been hopelessly outmatched destroyed vessels twice their size through clever maneuvering and superior crew training. But the most important revelation was not military, it was psychological. For the first time in galactic history, the elder races faced opponents who refused to accept defeat. When human ships were damaged, they fought on. When human crews were outnumbered, they found ways to win anyway. When human commanders faced impossible odds, they turned those odds into advantages. The aliens had awakened something in humanity that they had never encountered in their millennia of dominance, the refusal to surrender. As reports of human victories spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to take notice. The mammals from the small blue world had been written off as harmless newcomers. Now they were proving that being new to space didn't mean being new to war. The Galactic Council was about to learn that some species were born to fight, and humanity had just remembered what it was capable of when everything it loved was threatened. Commander Ashley Davis floated through the zero-gravity sections of the captured Zeph Collective prison ship, documenting what she found. Her stomach turned with each new horror. The aliens hadn't just been taking prisoners, they had been conducting experiments. "Captain Morrison," she reported over the secure channel, "you need to see this. The detention cells are equipped with biological research equipment. They were studying human prisoners like lab rats. In one cell, Ashley found medical records showing genetic experiments designed to make humans more compliant and less aggressive. In another, she discovered research notes about human breeding programs intended to create a slave workforce. They weren't planning to just relocate us," Ashley told her rescue team. "They were planning to turn us into a servile species." The evidence was overwhelming and horrifying. Brain scans showing attempts to map human consciousness, chemical formulas designed to alter human behavior, surgical procedures intended to make humans physically dependent on alien-controlled medications. "Ma'am," called one of her soldiers from across the detention bay, "you need to see this cell." Ashley floated over to find a group of human children none older than 10 years. They had been separated from their parents and subjected to psychological conditioning, designed to make them loyal to their alien captors. "Mommy and Daddy are gone," whispered a little girl with dark hair and frightened eyes. "The bug people said we're safer with them now." Ashley knelt down to the child's level, her heart breaking. "Sweetheart, that's not true. We're here to take you home." "But the bug people said humans are dangerous. They said we needed to be protected from other humans." Ashley looked around at the other rescued children. All of them showed signs of systematic psychological manipulation. The aliens had been preparing to raise an entire generation of humans who would see their own species as the enemy. "Listen to me," Ashley said gently but firmly. "The bug people lied to you. Humans protect humans. We take care of our own. And we're going to take you back to your real families." Throughout human space, similar discoveries were being made on captured alien vessels. The scope of the Council's plans became clearer with each prison ship that was liberated. This wasn't just attempted genocide, it was attempted species conversion. On Earth, Dr. Benjamin Clark analyzed the alien research data that Ashley's teams had recovered. What he found made him call an emergency meeting with President Wright and the military leadership. "Madam President, he reported, his voice shaking with anger. The aliens have been studying us since first contact. Every human who visited their worlds, every diplomatic exchange, every trade negotiation, they were collecting biological and psychological data. President Wright studied the research files on her tablet. The clinical language couldn't disguise the monstrous intentions behind the experiments. How long would their plan have taken? Based on these projections, they estimated they could have a fully compliant human population within 2 generations. Our children would have grown up believing that serving alien masters was natural and right. General Brooks slammed his fist on the conference table. They were going to turn us into pets. No, Dr. Clark corrected grimly. Pets are loved by their owners. They were going to turn us into tools. The revelation spread through the human military like wildfire. Soldiers and officers who had been fighting for their colonies and their freedom now knew they were fighting for the very soul of their species. Captain Brad Thompson received the intelligence briefing while his ship was en route to attack an alien supply depot. He called his crew together in the ship's main assembly area. "People, I want you to know what we're really fighting for," he announced. "The aliens didn't just want to kill us or relocate us. They wanted to turn our children into slaves who would thank them for the privilege." A low growl of anger rippled through the assembled crew members. These were professional military personnel, trained to follow orders and maintain discipline. But the thought of alien scientists experimenting on human children pushed them beyond the limits of professional detachment. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Nicole Foster from the weapons section, "what are our new rules of engagement?" Brad thought about the children Ashley's teams had found, their minds poisoned against their own species by alien manipulation. "No prisoners," he said flatly. "Any alien vessel that fires on human ships or carries human captives is a legitimate target. We're not playing by diplomatic rules anymore." The change in human tactics was immediate and devastating. Ships that had been fighting with restraint suddenly unleashed weapons designed to completely destroy alien vessels rather than disable them. Boarding parties that had been trying to minimize alien casualties began treating every enemy soldier as a threat to human children. Admiral Richard Grant, rescued from his crippled ship by a human recovery team, took command of a new battle group assigned to hunt down alien research vessels. His orders were simple and brutal. Find every ship conducting experiments on humans and destroy it completely. "Admiral," his intelligence officer reported, "we've located a Vortani research station in the Kepler 442 system. Long-range sensors indicate they're holding approximately 5,000 human prisoners." Richard studied the tactical display. The research station was heavily defended by a fleet of crystal ships that could probably destroy his task force in a prolonged battle. Time to destination? 6 hours at maximum speed. Make it 4 hours. And contact Dr. Gonzalez's weapons development team. I want every experimental weapon they have loaded and ready. Sir, the experimental weapons haven't been fully tested. We don't know if they'll work properly. Richard thought about 5,000 humans being used as test subjects in alien laboratories. We'll test them on the aliens. On the Vortani research station, Chief Scientist Kylanara was conducting another round of experiments on human nervous system responses when her sensors detected approaching ships. She expected to see a collective supply convoy bringing more test subjects. Instead, her screen showed 27 human warships moving at impossible speed and broadcasting a message that made her crystalline structure vibrate with fear. "Attention, Vortani research station. You are holding human prisoners and conducting illegal experiments on sentient beings. You have 10 minutes to release all captives and abandon your facility. After that, we will consider you a legitimate military target." Kilnara activated the station's communication system. "Human vessels, you do not understand the importance of our research. We are trying to help your species adapt to galactic civilization." The human response was immediate and cold. "Your 10 minutes just became 10 seconds. The experimental weapons Dr. Maria Gonzalez had developed worked perfectly. Quantum torpedoes phased through Vortani crystal shields as if they didn't exist. Particle beam weapons designed from captured Lumina technology cut through alien hulls like paper. Adaptive fighters swarmed around alien defenders with speed and agility that seemed to mock the laws of physics. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, 5,000 human prisoners were free, and the Vortani research station was the expanding cloud of crystalline debris. News of the victory spread through human space. along with evidence of what the aliens had been doing to captured humans. The psychological effect was immediate and profound. Every human in the galaxy now understood that this wasn't just a war for territory or resources. It was a war for the right to remain human. Captain Samantha. Taylor's battle group intercepted an alien transport convoy carrying human children who had been separated from their families. The rescue operation was swift and efficient, but the psychological damage was harder to repair. They told us our parents were dead, one teenager explained to Samantha as medical teams examined the rescued children. They said humans were violent and cruel and that we would be safer if we forgot about our families. Samantha knelt down to speak with the boy at eye level. "What's your name, son?" "They called me Subject 47 Alpha. I don't remember my real name." Samantha felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. "Well, Subject 47 Alpha, I'm going to make sure you get your real name back, and I'm going to make sure the people who took it from you never hurt another human child." The boy looked at her with eyes that seemed far too old for his face. "Are you really going to win this war?" Samantha stood up and looked out at her. Battle group. Ships crewed by humans who had discovered what their species was truly capable of when everything they loved was threatened. "Yes," she said with absolute certainty. "We're going to win. And when we do, the galaxy is going to be a very different place." Throughout human space, the pattern was repeating itself. Every rescued prisoner, every liberated research facility, every documented atrocity was turning human forces from a rescue operation into something far more dangerous. The aliens had made a fundamental miscalculation. They had assumed that a species new to space would fight like other galactic races, with formal tactics, limited objectives, and respect for traditional rules of engagement. Instead, they had awakened something that had been sleeping in the human species since they learned to cooperate, instead of compete with each other. They had reminded humanity what it meant to fight not just for survival, but for the right to exist on their own terms. The Galactic Council was about to discover that some wars are not fought for territory or resources, or polity deep in the most secure facility of the Galactic Council. Prime Counselor Vexnara paced nervously in her crystal chamber. The reports flooding in from across the galaxy painted an impossible picture. Human forces were not just resisting, they were winning. "Explain to me," she demanded of the assembled military commanders, "how a species that achieved spaceflight 4 years ago is destroying fleets that have dominated the galaxy for millennia." Admiral Ziktar of the Zeph Collective buzzed anxiously. "Their tactics are completely unpredictable. They ignore established combat protocols and use strategies that should be impossible with their technology level." "What do you mean, impossible?" "They ram ships at near-light speed. They use asteroid fields as weapons platforms. They board vessels through maintenance hatches that we never considered security risks. Yesterday, a human captain deliberately caused his own ship's reactor to overload just to destroy our flagship." Vexnara's crystalline form flickered with agitation. "Are they insane?" "No," replied Intelligence Director Kolmesh, a Lumina being whose energy form pulsed dimly. "That's the problem. They're perfectly rational. They've simply calculated that any price is acceptable to achieve victory." The Prime Counselor activated a holographic display showing current fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Red markers indicated alien forces, while blue markers showed human ships. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Humanity was winning on every front. "What about our ultimate weapon?" Vexnara asked quietly. The other council members exchanged uncertain glances. The planet killer had been built during the last great galactic war over 1,000 years ago. It had only been used once to destroy the homeworld of a species that had refused to accept council authority. "The weapon is ready," reported Admiral Ziktar, "but using it against Earth would be problematic. The humans have colonies throughout the galaxy now. Destroying their homeworld might make them more dangerous, not less." "More dangerous? How could they possibly be more dangerous?" Kolmesh's energy form pulsed with what might have been fear. "Prime Counselor, we have been analyzing human psychological profiles. This species has an unusual response to loss. When other races face the destruction of their homeworld, they surrender or flee. Humans become more aggressive." Vexnara studied the intelligence reports. Human history was filled with examples of individuals and groups fighting harder after suffering devastating losses. Their literature celebrated martyrs who died rather than surrender. Their songs honored warriors who refused to yield even in the face of certain death. You're telling me that if we destroy Earth, the surviving humans will fight us even harder? Yes, Prime Counselor. And there's something else. Our intelligence operatives report that humans have begun spreading throughout the galaxy much faster than we initially calculated. They're not just maintaining colonies, they're reproducing them. Admiral Zektar activated another display showing human expansion patterns. In the past 6 months, while we were preparing our elimination campaign, humans established 43 new settlements in supposedly empty systems. They're not just explorers, they're seeders. The implications were staggering. Even if the Council won this war, humanity had already spread too far to be completely eliminated. Like a virus adapting to survive, the species had instinctively scattered itself across thousands of worlds. Meanwhile, Admiral Christopher Lee commanded a human task force that had been tracking alien fleet movements for weeks. His intelligence officers had discovered something that could change the course of the war. "Admiral," reported Commander Elizabeth Murphy, "we've found it. The alien superweapon is hidden in the Arcturus system, approximately 40 light-years from Earth." Christopher studied the tactical data on his screen. The weapon was massive, a space station the size of a small moon, protected by the largest concentration of alien military forces he had ever seen. How big is the defense fleet? Over 300 ships of various classes, plus orbital defense platforms, minefields, and energy barriers. Christopher thought about the reports he had received from Earth. Human colonies were being liberated one by one, but the cost in ships and lives was enormous. If the aliens used their planet-killer weapon against Earth, humanity would lose its industrial and population center. "Contact Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them we've found the target, and ask them to send everything they have." On Earth, President Helen Wright faced the most important decision in human history. Admiral Patricia Stone had laid out the tactical situation with brutal clarity. "Madam President, we can continue the current campaign and probably free our colonies within 6 months. But if the aliens use their super weapon, Earth dies and 30 billion humans die with it." Helen looked around the situation room at the faces of her advisors. These people had guided humanity through first contact, through the establishment of interstellar civilization, and now through total war. What are our options? General Kevin Brooks activated a tactical display showing human fleet positions. "We can gather every available ship for an assault on the weapon platform, but it would mean pulling forces away from colony liberation operations." "How many ships are we talking about?" 417 vessels of all classes. Every operational warship in the human fleet. Helen felt the weight of the decision settling on her shoulders. If they failed to destroy the alien superweapon, Earth would be defenseless. If they succeeded but took heavy casualties, the aliens might win the war through attrition. "There's another consideration," added Dr. Maria Gonzalez from her position at the science station. "Our intelligence suggests that the planet-killer weapon is based on technology that could be adapted for our own use." Helen raised an eyebrow. "You want to capture it?" "Yes, ma'am. A weapon that can destroy planets could also be used to create them. The same technology that breaks apart stellar matter could be reversed to build artificial worlds for colonization." The possibility was tantalizing. Instead of just defending themselves, humans could turn the aliens' ultimate weapon into a tool for massive expansion throughout the galaxy. "How long do we have to make this decision?" Admiral Patricia Stone checked her latest intelligence reports. Long-range sensors show alien fleet movements toward Earth. If they're planning to use the superweapon, they'll probably do it within the next 72 hours. Helen Wright had led her nation through peace and prosperity. Now she had to lead her species through its greatest test. The decision she made in the next few minutes would determine whether humanity survived as a free race or died as slaves. "Send the order," she said quietly. "All available ships are to rendezvous with Admiral Lee's task force. We're going after their superweapon." In the Arcturus system, the alien weapon platform hung in space like a mechanical moon. Its surface bristled with energy collectors, particle accelerators, and the massive projector array that could focus enough power to shatter a planet's core. Station Commander Veltox, a Vortani officer whose crystalline structure had been reinforced with cybernetic implants, reviewed the weapon's operational status. The planet killer hadn't been fired in over 1,000 years, but all systems showed green across the board. "Commander," reported his tactical officer, "Council Command has authorized target selection. The weapon is to be fired at the third planet of the Sol system, Earth. Veltok studied the tactical data about humanity's homeworld. 30 billion humans lived on that blue sphere, completely unaware that their entire species was about to face extinction. "Charging sequence will take 12 hours, he announced. "Once we fire, the war will be over." But even as he spoke, long-range sensors began detecting movement at the edge of the system. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace, too many ships to count, all broadcasting human identification codes. "Impossible," whispered his sensor operator. "I'm reading over 400 vessels." "Where did they get so many ships?" Veltok activated the external viewers and saw something that made his crystalline heart freeze with terror. The human fleet wasn't just large, it was moving in perfect coordination like a single organism with a unified mind. "All defense stations, this is command. The humans have found us. Prepare for the largest battle in galactic history." As the two fleets moved toward each other, Veltok realized that the next few hours would determine not just the outcome of the war, but the future balance of power in the galaxy. The humans had come not just to destroy the weapon that threatened their homeworld. They had come to prove that some species could not be broken, no matter what force was used against them. The final battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Christopher Lee stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution as the largest human fleet in history approached the Arcturus system. 417 warships moved in perfect formation, their crews knowing that the next few hours would determine humanity's survival. "Admiral," reported Captain Elizabeth Murphy from her position at the tactical station, "enemy fleet strength is confirmed at 312 vessels, plus the weapon platform itself. They're moving to intercept us at the system's outer edge." Christopher studied the holographic display showing both fleets converging. The alien formation was textbook perfect. Ships arranged in standard defensive patterns that had been used successfully for thousands of years. "They're fighting the last war," he said quietly. "They still think this is going to be a conventional space battle." His communications officer looked up from her console. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the alien commander." "Put it on screen." The angular features of a Zeph collective admiral appeared on the main viewer. His compound eyes reflected the bridge lights as he spoke through his mechanical translator. "Human Fleet Commander, I am Admiral Krixval of the Galactic Council Defense Force. You are ordered to surrender immediately and prepare to be escorted to detention facilities." Christopher stepped forward so his face filled the alien's screen. "Admiral Krixval, this is Admiral Lee of the Human Space Force. I have a counter-proposal. Surrender your superweapon and all personnel involved in crimes against humanity, and we might let some of you live." The alien admiral's antennae twitched with what might have been amusement. "Commander Lee, you are outnumbered and outgunned. Your ships are primitive compared to Council technology. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." "Admiral," Christopher corrected coldly, "and you've made one critical error in your calculations." "Which is? You assume we're here to fight fair?" Christopher cut the communication and turned to his fleet commanders. "All ships execute Battle Plan Omega. Remember, we're not here to win a space battle. We're here to capture that weapon platform." Throughout the human fleet, crews that had trained for this moment their entire lives sprang into action. But their tactics were unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. Captain Brad Thompson's destroyer squadron didn't charge directly at the enemy line. Instead, they scattered into the asteroid field that surrounded the weapon platform, using the space rocks as cover and improvised weapons. Commander Ashley Davis led her assault ships in a high-speed run that appeared to be retreating from the battle. The aliens moved to pursue, not realizing they were being drawn away from their defensive positions. Captain Samantha Taylor's heavy cruisers began broadcasting false sensor readings that made the human fleet appear much smaller than it actually was, while her electronic warfare specialists jammed alien communications. The first phase of the battle went exactly as the aliens expected. Human ships engaged their forces in what appeared to be conventional combat. Energy weapons flashed between the fleets as shields absorbed impossible amounts of damage. But Admiral Krixval began to notice disturbing patterns in the human attack. Their ships were taking more damage than they should have been able to survive. Their weapons were hitting targets with accuracy that seemed impossible at these ranges, and most puzzling of all, human vessels that appeared to be destroyed kept fighting. "Tactical analysis," he demanded from his staff. "Sir, The humans appear to be using some form of adaptive armor that learns from our weapon impacts. Each hit makes them more resistant to the next attack. Impossible. No known technology can... His tactical officer interrupted with panic in his voice. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the direction of the system's star. Multiple contacts moving at 0.97 light speed. Krixaval turned to see something that made his compound eyes dilate with horror. Dozens of human ships were diving directly out of the sun's corona, their hulls glowing white-hot from stellar radiation. They had hidden in the star itself, using its energy output to mask their approach. How are they surviving those temperatures? Unknown, sir. Hull temperatures should have vaporized their ships hours ago. What the aliens didn't know was that Dr. Maria Gonzalez's weapons development team had created adaptive hull plating based on Lumina, energy management technology. Human ships could absorb and redirect stellar energy instead of being destroyed by it. The solar strike force hit the alien fleet's rear formations like a hammer blow. Ships that had been designed to fight in the cold vacuum of space found themselves facing enemies who had learned to weaponize stars. Captain Daniel. Garcia's heavy cruiser UES Solar Flare emerged from the stellar corona with its weapons charged by solar energy. When he fired, the alien cruiser he targeted didn't just explode, it was vaporized completely. All solar strike ships, this is Garcia. The sundive maneuver worked perfectly. Enemy rearguard is broken, moving to secondary objectives. But the real surprise came when the aliens tried to fall back to defensive positions around their weapon platform. Human ships that had appeared to be destroyed or disabled suddenly came back to life, revealing that their damage had been carefully faked. Admiral Krixaval watched in growing panic as his tactical situation collapsed. The humans weren't fighting one battle. They were fighting 6 battles simultaneously, each with different objectives and tactics. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving multiple surrender demands from different human commanders. They're offering terms for immediate capitulation. Ignore them. Focus all fire on their command ship. But when the alien fleet targeted Admiral Lee's flagship, they discovered that the UES Retribution was just one of a dozen ships broadcasting command signals. The humans had no single point of failure. On the weapon platform, Commander Veltox watched the battle with growing alarm. His defensive fleet was being systematically destroyed by enemies who seemed to have prepared for every possible contingency. Status of the planet killer weapon? He demanded. Charging sequence is at 40% completion. We need 6 more hours before we can fire. We don't have 6 hours. The humans will be in assault range within 2. Veltox made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his very short life. Emergency power to the weapon systems. Bypass all safety protocols. We'll fire at Earth with whatever charge we can build. But the humans had been monitoring alien communications throughout the battle. When Captain Elizabeth Murphy detected the weapon platform's power surge, she knew exactly what it meant. Admiral Lee, the aliens are trying to fire their super weapon early. Power levels are building faster than projected. Christopher looked at the tactical display. His fleet was winning the battle, but not fast enough to prevent the aliens from getting off one shot at Earth. All assault ships, this is Admiral Lee. Operation Broken Arrow is now in effect. I repeat, Broken Arrow is authorized. Throughout the human fleet, crews that had hoped they would never receive that order began implementing humanity's most desperate tactic. Broken Arrow meant that ships were authorized to use themselves as weapons. Captain Samantha Taylor's cruiser UES Vengeance accelerated directly toward the weapon platform's main projector array. Her crew had exactly 90 seconds to evacuate to escape pods before impact. This is Captain Taylor to all hands. It has been an honor serving with you. Remember us when you tell your children about this day. The UES Vengeance struck the weapon platform's primary focusing lens at nearly the speed of light. The impact released more energy than a nuclear explosion, shattering the alien superweapon's main firing mechanism. But Taylor's sacrifice was just the beginning. Admiral Lee had planned for this contingency, and human ships began ramming critical sections of the weapon platform with precision that spoke of careful study and preparation. Commander Veltox watched in horror as his invincible superweapon was systematically destroyed by enemies who were willing to die to stop it. Each human ship that impacted his station took out systems that had taken decades to build. Engineering, what's our status? Sir, main weapon system is completely destroyed. Secondary systems are failing. We're losing structural integrity on multiple levels. Through his viewports, Veltox could see human assault ships docking with his station. Enemy soldiers were boarding the facility that was supposed to be impregnable. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "the human admiral is requesting permission to come aboard." Veltox looked around his command center at the alien officers who had served faithfully for decades. They were the best the galaxy had to offer, trained in the finest military academies, equipped with technology that represented thousands of years of advancement. And they were about to surrender to creatures who had been spacefaring for less than 4 years. "Open the docking bay," he said quietly. "Let the humans come aboard." Admiral Christopher Lee walked through the corridors of the weapon platform with a small escort of human Marines. The alien crew members they passed looked stunned, as if they couldn't quite believe what had happened to their supposedly invincible fortress. In the command center, Veltox waited with his senior staff. The Vortani commander's crystalline structure seemed dimmed, as if the defeat had drained some essential energy from his being. "Commander," Christopher said formally, "I am Admiral Lee of the Human Space Force. I am here to accept your surrender in Tay. 6 months after the Battle of Arcturus, President Helen Wright walked into what had once been the Galactic Council chambers. The ornate alien architecture remained the same, but everything else had changed. Human military officers stood guard at positions once held by alien security forces. Human technicians worked alongside captured alien scientists to understand and improve galactic technology. And at the head of the Great Circular Chamber, where the alien council leaders had once looked down on humanity as primitive newcomers, Helen Wright prepared to address the galaxy's new reality. The surviving alien leadership sat in what had once been the visitor section, their roles completely reversed. Prime Counselor Vexnara's crystalline structure had lost much of its brilliance, while Admiral Zektar's compound eyes darted nervously between the human guards. "Honored representatives of the galactic community," Helen began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. "6 months ago, your governments attempted to commit genocide against the human species. You failed." She gestured to the holographic displays surrounding the chamber, which now showed the new strategic situation throughout the galaxy. Human fleets controlled every major hyperspace route. Human colonies had been established in systems that had been empty for millennia. Human technology had advanced by centuries in a matter of months through the study of captured alien equipment. "The age of alien dominance is over," Helen continued. "Humanity will no longer accept junior membership in galactic civilization. We will no longer follow rules made by species who view us as inferior. From this day forward, humans will take our place as the galaxy's dominant species." Admiral Patricia Stone stepped forward from her position beside the president. Her uniform now bore the insignia of Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, a position that had never existed before, but now represented the galaxy's new power structure. "The former Galactic Council is hereby dissolved," Patricia announced. "In its place, we established the Terran Galactic Union. Membership is open to all species willing to accept human leadership and contribute to the common defense." Prime Counselor Vexnara's voice trembled as she spoke. "President Wright, surely there must be room for negotiation. Our species have coexisted peacefully for thousands of years." Helen's expression remained cold. "Counselor, you forfeited your right to negotiate when you decided to experiment on human children, when you built concentration camps for human prisoners, when you developed biological weapons specifically designed to target human DNA." She activated another holographic display, showing the liberation of alien research facilities throughout the galaxy. The images were difficult to watch. Human prisoners who had been subjected to horrific medical experiments, children who had been psychologically conditioned to hate their own species, entire families who had been separated and used as test subjects. Your peaceful coexistence was built on the assumption that you would never face a species capable of challenging your authority. You were wrong. General Kevin Brooks approached the alien delegation with a data tablet containing terms that had been dictated, not negotiated. "The terms are simple," he announced. "All former Council species will restrict their military forces to home system defense only. All interstellar trade routes will be managed by human authorities. All advanced technology will be shared with human research teams. Any species that refuses these terms will be considered a hostile power. Admiral Ziktar's antennae twitched with indignation. This is not negotiation. This is conquest. Yes, Helen replied simply. It is. Just as your planned elimination of humanity would have been conquest. The difference is that we're offering you the chance to survive as subordinate but independent species. You offered us extermination or slavery. Throughout the galaxy, the new reality was becoming clear. Human fleets patrolled former alien territory with authority that no one dared to challenge. The Shadow Fleet had grown into a massive armada that could project human power to any star system within weeks. Admiral Christopher Lee commanded the new galactic patrol from his flagship, now renamed the UES Dominance. His orders were clear. Ensure that no species ever again attempted to challenge human authority. Admiral, reported Captain Elizabeth Murphy from her station, we're receiving a distress call from the Kepler 438 system. The local Zeph collective governor is refusing to implement the new trade regulations. Christopher studied the tactical display showing the system in question. It was a minor colony world with limited strategic value, but the principle was important. Assemble Task Force 7. We'll make an example that the rest of the galaxy can understand. The response was swift and overwhelming. 12 human warships dropped out of hyperspace around the Zeph collective world, their weapons charged and ready. The local defense force, consisting of 6 outdated patrol craft, surrendered without firing a shot. Governor Nexelic was brought aboard the UES Dominance in restraints, his insect-like features showing fear as he was escorted to the bridge. Christopher studied the alien official with the cold efficiency of a predator examining prey. Governor, you were given clear instructions regarding trade compliance with Terran authority. Why did you choose to ignore them? Nexelic's translator buzzed nervously. Admiral, my people have traded freely in this system for over 2,000 years. We cannot simply abandon our Your traditions, Christopher interrupted, nearly led to the extinction of my species. Your traditions included experimenting on human children. I'm not particularly interested in preserving them. He gestured to the view screen showing the planet below. You have 24 hours to implement full compliance with Terran trade regulations. If you refuse, we will install a human colonial administrator and your people will become subjects rather than allies. The message was clear, and it spread throughout the galaxy faster than light-speed communication. Human authority was not a suggestion. It was absolute. On Earth, Dr. Maria Gonzalez worked in laboratories that now house technology from a dozen different alien civilizations. The captured planet killer weapon had been completely reverse-engineered, its destructive capabilities converted into tools for massive terraforming projects. Madam President, she reported during the weekly science briefing, we're ready to begin Operation New Eden. Using modified planet killer technology, we can convert uninhabitable worlds into Earth-like environments within months instead of centuries. Helen studied the proposal on her tablet. The plan called for the rapid transformation of hundreds of worlds throughout the galaxy, creating living space for billions of humans and establishing permanent colonies that could never be eliminated by hostile aliens. How many worlds can we terraform simultaneously? With our current resources, we can handle 20 projects at once. Within 5 years, we could have over 500 new Earth-like worlds throughout the galaxy. The implications were staggering. Instead of being restricted to a few dozen marginal colonies, humanity would soon dominate habitable real estate throughout known space. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral and commanding the Sol Defense Fleet, oversaw the construction of massive orbital shipyards around Earth. The facilities were 10 times larger than anything the aliens had ever built, designed to produce warships on a scale that would guarantee human dominance for generations. Admiral Morrison, his chief engineer, reported, the new Titan-class battleships are ready for their first deployment. Each vessel is 3 times the size of our largest current ships and carries enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Jake looked out at the construction yards where dozens of the massive vessels were taking shape. Each ship represented a promise that humanity would never again be vulnerable to alien aggression. How many can we build per month? At current production rates, we can complete 12 Titan-class battleships monthly. Within 2 years, we'll have the largest fleet in galactic history. Throughout human space, similar construction projects were transforming the galaxy's balance of power. Mining operations stripped entire asteroid belts to provide raw materials for human expansion. Research stations studied, captured alien technology to develop even more advanced weapons and defenses. Ambassador Lisa Harper, now serving as humanity's first galactic administrator, established new colonial governments on former alien worlds. Her job was to ensure that human expansion proceeded smoothly and that former council species understood their new place in the galactic hierarchy. The key, she explained to newly appointed colonial governors, is to make cooperation more profitable than resistance. Species that work with us get trade privileges, protection, and technological assistance. Species that oppose us get military occupation and resource extraction. The policy was working. Most alien civilizations, faced with overwhelming human military superiority, chose cooperation over destruction. They provided labor for human construction projects, shared their technological knowledge, and accepted subordinate status in exchange for survival. But not all aliens accepted the new reality quietly. Deep in the Outer Rim territories, resistance movements began forming among species that refused to bow to human authority. Commander Ashley Davis led counter